In a painting class, a famous painter professor showed his students 3 pictures. The first photo shows a black bread, the second photo shows a battle with an army of troops completely destroyed, soldiers dying like hell, the third photo shows a pregnant woman. The professor said, anyone who can give all 3 pictures a common name will be rewarded. And the reward belongs to a student with the shortest and most reasonable answer. Withdraw not in time. After work, on a bus packed with people, a beautiful girl was standing close behind by a young man. After a while, the girl, annoyed, shouted, "Hey, what the hell are you going to rub against me?" The guy whispered softly, I just got the salary, the bus is too crowded. I dare not put it in my back pocket because of theft, so I roll it up and put it in the front." After a while, the girl exclaimed again, "Hey man, how are you going to increase your salary so fast?" The wife is working when she receives her husband's phone. Husband said, "Hello, darling, please go home now, urgently." Wife said, "I'm busy right now. What's so urgent, honey?" Husband said, "I have a headache." Wife answered, "There is medicine in the cupboard, you can take it yourself." Husband said, "I just drank but found out I mistakenly drank 2 Viagra tablets. So please." In a psychology class, when the teacher finished his lecture, a student timidly asked teacher, how to distinguish between stress, fear and panic. The teacher looked at him with calm, affectionate eyes and replied, "Well, those 3 emotions follow the examples of these levels. Stress is knowing the wife to be pregnant, fear is when the girlfriend to be pregnant, and panic is when both are pregnant at the same time." The student nodded as if he understood the problem, but continued to ask, is it possible that all 3 emotional states of tension, fear, and panic appear at the same time? After listening to the question, the teacher answered firmly, "Yes, when I heard that my wife and girlfriend were pregnant at the same time, while myself was infertile." In a high-class apartment building, a young girl saw a 75-year-old woman climbing the stairs. She asked, "Madam, you are so old and so weak. Why don't you take the lift to get well?" The old woman looked at the young girl in surprise, saying, "Oh, so you don't know that there has been recently rapes inside elevator of the apartment building? Be more careful, girl." 3 men of America, China and Vietnam were stuck on a deserted beach. The Lord of Death suddenly appeared. Death Lord coldly said, "If you want to live, throw one thing in the sea. Within a minute. If I can't find it, you can live. Otherwise that person must be died." Quote. The American threw a needle into the sea. Death Lord dived and took back the needle after 15 seconds, and the American died. The Chinese guy is so scared, he threw a hair into the sea. Death Lord dived and picked up the hair after 20 seconds, the Chinese gone. The Vietnamese guy, smirking, took out one thing and threw it into the sea. Death dived for a long time, then rising up, gasping for breath and asked, "Hey guy, what the hell are you throwing in the ocean?" Vietnamese guy smiled mischievously, "I threw away the effervescent sea." During an interview to recruit accountant, the boss asked a beautiful girl wearing a mini-skirt, "You have not been able to answer the first 2 questions I asked. Now is your last chance. If you can answer, I will accept you to work, otherwise I have to break up here." The boss continued, "If I write number 1 on both your left thigh and right thigh, what number would it be?" The girl replied, "Number 11, sir." The boss said, "How can you do an accountant, even if you don't finish reading numbers? 101 is true." The girl blushed shyly, but before leaving the room, she still did not respect and asked the boss again, "You're right, it's number 101, but I'm not stupid. If that number 1 was written on your thighs, what number would it be?" The boss smiled and said, "Of course 111. The girl laughed loudly. "Not 111, but 1.1. You also aren't better than me." After the Mars adventure, the group was about to return, and found that there was a missing member. After a long while he had returned from behind the rock. Behind is a very beautiful girl. The team leader asked constrainedly, "Where are you going to?" That guy replied, "Sir, I stayed to study with this girl. She guided me and showed me how to produce kids on Mars. They have a machine. 1 press for baby girl, 2 press for baby boy." The guy continued, "She asked me again how to produce babies on Earth. I also let her try." The team leader asked, "So what?" The guy replied, "You see, now she kept running after me, asking to buy that machine." A man and a woman are sleeping like 2 innocent children. At 3 o'clock in the morning, suddenly a loud noise from outside comes. The woman jumped up and yelled at the man, "My God! My husband is back." So the man quickly jumped out of bed like a pupil and jumped out of the window like a madman. He fell to the ground, ran through a bush, then ran very fast toward the car. A few minutes later, he turned back and yelled to the woman, "I'm your husband, you pervert." The woman shouted back, "Yeah? So why are you running? You pervert." Quote. A dentist was about to pick up 1 decayed teeth for a woman patient of middle-aged. Seeing that the patient seemed nervous, the dentist immediately told a joke while wearing the gloves. "You know, in Mexico, how does they make gloves? All production workers will put their hands in the rubber latex container. Then they run around raising their hands in the wind, waiting for the rubber to dry. At the end they took off their gloves and packed them." Quote. 5 minutes later, the woman patient suddenly laughed like she might die. So the dentist was forced to pull the clamp out of her mouth and asked, "Did you find that glove story great?" wondered the dentist. The woman patient said, "No, I'm just imagining the process of the producing condom." An old couple enjoying a luxurious meal at a restaurant to celebrate their 70th wedding. The husband leaned over to his wife and gently said, "Honey, there's one thing I need to ask you. I have long wondered that my 10th son does not look like his siblings. Now I want to confirm to you that 70 years have been the best time I've ever had. Your answer won't be able to make it go away, but I still need to know, the boy has a different father, doesn't he?" The wife dropped her head, daring not to look her husband's eyes. She frantically for a moment, and then confessed, "Yes, that's right." What his wife confessed still stunned him. Even with anticipation, tears welling up the corner of his eyes, he trembled and asked, "Who is the boy's father?" The woman dropped her head again. She could not utter anything until she mustered up the courage to tell the truth to her husband. "It's you." The younger brother asked her sister, "Why do people like to do sex?" The sister answered, "It's like you like to pick your nose." He still asked, "So boys are happier, or girls are happier?" The sister answered, "So if you pick your nose is happy or your finger is happy?" He confused, "Then why is it that when a girl is raped, she is not happy?" The sister explained, "Would you be happy if someone stuck their finger in your nose?" He continued, "Then why during menstruation, why girl doesn't want to do that?" The sister patiently replied, "You have a nosebleed, do you want to pick your nose?" An old woman lives in a hut on the beach with a dog. Every day, she walks with her dog on the beach, enjoying the last days of her peaceful life. Suddenly one day, while walking, she stumbled upon a jar that was washed ashore by waves. The old woman rubbed the jar and a smoke came out and gathered into a god. He said, "Thank you for saving me from this confinement. To thank you, I will grant you 3 wishes." The old woman thought without hesitation, replied immediately, "I want $1 million. Immediately, the old woman sat on a pile of money. Looking back at the tattered hut, she made a second wish. I want my hut to become a castle. In an instant, the hut became a castle with a majestic towering tower. The old lady happily exclaimed, "Oh, how wonderful! But what is the end of life? I have one more wish. I want to be a beautiful woman and my dog become a handsome, muscular husband." When the wish was fulfilled, the old woman, now a young woman, brought the money to the castle with her husband. When it was time to get to bed, she said to her husband, "Oh honey, today we will have a passionate night like the wedding day, will you?" The husband blushed and clenched. "A passionate night? Do you remember you took me to castration last year?" A husband is very worried about his wife because two people have not done sex for a month. The husband took the wife to the doctor to ask about this matter. The doctor met the wife privately and asked, "Why haven't you done sex with your husband for a month?" Wife said, "Doctor, because for the past month I took a taxi to work." Then the taxi driver asked, "Will you pay me or something else? I want to save money, so I choose the what else option." At the office, the director asked me, "Will you type this document or do something else?" Because I was so tired, I chose the what else to do. When I took a taxi home again, and once again chose the what else to do to save money. So when I got home, I was so tired and didn't want to do it with my husband anymore. The doctor smiled and asked, "So shall we talk about this with your husband or what else?" A young couple is on traveling tour and has a zoo tour program. The tour guide led everyone to the front of the elephant barn and said, "Elephants have the ability to love each other up to 45 minutes. The wife winked at her husband. "Did you see it?" Her husband kept silence. Arriving in front of the tiger's cage, the guy introduced, "The tiger can love up to 30 minutes. The wife winked at her husband. "Did you see it?" Her husband still kept silence. Arriving in front of the deer cage, the tour guide said, "Deer can only love 5 minutes only." The husband winked his wife. "See?" The wife punctured to respond, "That's why it grows horns." One day, a blonde-haired girl came to the farmer's house and saw that his fruits were very green, while in her garden, the tubers were still stunted. She asked, "How is your garden so beautiful?" The funny farmer answered with teasing, "Ah, well, you must have a tip. For example, to get red tomatoes quickly, I run around naked every morning." The tomatoes were so embarrassed that they blushed all over. 1 month later, the blonde-haired girl came over to the farmer's house to thank him for his hints in horticulture. The farmer was amazed. "You don't get dressed in. Run around the garden as I told you?" The girl answered, "Yes, very effective." The farmer was so surprised. "Red or tomatoes?" The girl confidently answered, "Ah, I don't plant tomatoes." But the cucumbers kept growing longer and bigger. An old man sat on the chair, watching his grandson catching worms for fishing. Something flashed in his mind. He came to his grandson and asked, "Hey kid, you pulled the worm out of the hole easily. So can you put the soft worm back into the hole again? If you can do it, I will reward you with $10. The little boy quickly rushed to the bathroom, took the hairspray bottle, pulled the worm out neatly and then sprayed the glue on it, making the worm stiff, and then stuffed the worm into the hole easily. The old man commended, "You are very smart. Here is $10 for your reward." The next morning the boy was playing in the garden when his grandfather called him and said, "Here, another $10 is for you." The boy cheerfully said, "Whoa, you are so kind." The old man laughed. "No, this is your reward from grandmother."